right, so we are going to go over the properties, and these are things that exist because they work out. So, people discovered something that always worked mathematically, and that's why it's a property. All right, so the first one is the commutative property. And I think of it as the word commute. So your commute from school to home is the same as your commute from home to school. So back and forth, it's still called your commute. So it's the order of the numbers can change without changing your answer, basically. So without changing the sum or product. So the commutative property, the order of the numbers can change without changing the sum or product. Now we're going to write down commutative property, of addition is A plus B is the same as B plus A, which you knew that. 1 plus 2 is the same as 2 plus 1. All right, of multiplication, same thing. A times B gives you the same answer as B times A. Okay, so that's the commutative property. If you switch the order, then the answer is the same. All right. The next one is the associative property. Associative property. And I remember this one as the associates of a law firm. The associates are a certain group. So the associative property talks about the grouping of numbers. So it says the grouping of numbers can change without changing the answer again, basically. So without changing the sum or product. And we should mention it's the sum or product for a reason. Those are the ones that work. This doesn't work for subtraction. This doesn't work for division. Okay, so these two only work for addition and multiplication. So the associative property, let's underline these, of addition would be if you group A plus B and add something else to it, that gives you the same answer if you group the B and the C. Okay, so that's all that means. Same thing for multiplication. So if you group A times B and multiply something else to it, that's going to give you the same answer as if you take A and group B and C together. Okay? So that's the associative property. Okay. Third one. The multiplicative, one of my favorite words, identity. Multiplicative identity. So identity is what? That is you, yourself, one. So the multiplicative identity means you take something, you multiply it by something, and you get itself back, its identity back. And you probably know what's going to go there, right? A times what is going to give you A? 1. So basically it's just saying anything times 1 gives itself right back, which you already knew, but now you know the name of the property. And there is also the additive identity. Same logic here. You take something, you add something to it, and you get itself back. And I think you all know what that would be. Add a 0. All right, so those are the identities. Then we get a little trickier and we talk about inverse. So the multiplicative inverse. This one's harder. So you take, now inverse is kind of like opposite. So what you want to do is you take something, multiply it by something, and you want to get back 1. Let's do it with a number. What if it was 2? 2 times what is going to give us 1? Let's pause and try to figure it out. All right, hopefully we figured out it's 1/2, right? Because things will cancel here. So this is going to be 1 over a. So it's always whatever this number is, you flip it, because when you multiply that out, you get back 1. So that's the multiplicative inverse. All right, and of course we can have the additive inverse. Additive inverse. So that's, you're going to take something, add something to it, and you want to get back its identity, which is 0. Let's try it with a number again. 2 plus what would give us 0? Yeah, the opposite of 2, right? So this is going to be the opposite of a. That's the additive inverse. That always works, right? When you take a number, add its opposite to it, you get back 0. Okie doke. And then we have something called, now this is where it gets confusing. We have something called the zero property. And, oh, I'm running out of paper. Here we go. The zero property, there we go, says if you take something, multiply it by 0, you get 0 back. So it's kind of saying how powerful 0 is when you multiply. Anything times 0 is 0. All right. Okay, last one. The distributive property. We're actually going to use this one a lot with algebra, but we'll learn it right now. So the distributive property says this. You take a number and multiply it to b plus c. That's going to be the same as if you did a times b plus a times c. So they're saying that always works out, and that's going to help us in our algebra to break things out of the parentheses. Okay, if you want to see, let's just do an example here. If a was 4, and let's say you've got, I don't know, 2x plus 8 on the inside. So you're going to learn you can't put together the 2x plus the 8. So to break them out of parentheses, which you're going to have to do, you're going to distribute the 4 because of this property. So you'll be able to do 4 times 2x, which is 8x, and 4 times 8, which is 32. So you can break it out, and then you can work with what you have there. So that's the distributive property. All right, and that's all the properties.